We do want to ask you, this is highly regular, I think, for everybody here. If I can start with you, Emily, this decision by your client, did you support this decision?
I support anyone's decision to represent themselves, so long as they're doing it freely, knowingly, and voluntarily, as well as intelligently. I think it was obvious from the answers Mr. Jeffs gave in court that this decision is done after much thought, and it is in fact done freely, knowingly, voluntarily, and intelligently. And for that matter, I do support his decision.
He made his decision. I think he'll do as good as he could do under the circumstances. And I agree with Mr. Toto that it's absolutely his right. It would be reversible error for the judge not to allow him to do it. So, you know, it's his choice, and I support it. And the judge has asked us to stand by, which I'm, of course, willing to do. It's always preferable to have an experienced counsel at defense table, but it's not necessary. And it can be done, or the law wouldn't allow for it. As far as his personal thoughts and motives in that regard, I'm not privy to them, or even if I was, would I be willing to discuss them. But he acknowledged that he knew what he was doing, and he's invoking his right to represent himself.
We really can't speak to his thought processes and why he chose to represent himself. I would like to, for the record, state that his voluntary invocation of his right to self-representation was not a gimmick or a ploy to buy more time, as it will probably be portrayed. And that's what they thought it was, both the prosecutor and I believe the judge might have thought that that's why. But he truly believes, or one might view this as him saying that this is my battle and I want to represent myself. And I don't think it's because he thought no one else could understand his religion. But as far as his reasoning, we can't speak to that.
I believe I am very much still under ethical considerations.
But generally speaking, it's always a scary proposition when the state of Texas, with their millions of dollars of resources and investigators and law enforcement agencies, stand poised to do battle against one individual who's the accused. And in this case, it's even more scary. But when I use the word scary, it's not because I underestimate Mr. Warren Steed Jeffs. It's just that whenever you're charged with a crime and the state of Texas bears down on you, it's a scary proposition.
The state will give opening statements. Mr. Jeffs will have the opportunity to make an opening statement if he chooses to do so. He could waive that and reserve it for immediately preceding his case in chief. At that point, the state will call its first witness. Mr. Jeffs will have the opportunity to cross-examine those witnesses. Sometimes that ping-pongs back and forth, but the judge will usually put an end to it at some point. When the state has done presenting its case in chief, they will rest. Mr. Jeffs will have an opportunity at that point to make an opening statement if he has not previously done so. At that point, he will have the opportunity to call witnesses if he chooses, and it certainly cannot be taken as a circumstance against him if he chooses not to. Any witnesses that he does call will be subject to cross-examination by the state, and at the conclusion of that, Mr. Jeffs will rest as well. Both sides, at that point, the state has an opportunity to put on a rebuttal case, which proceeds in the similar manner as the case opening and Mr. Jeffs' case, if any is presented. And at that point, both sides will close and closing arguments will be made.